So, happy Veterans Day 2016 to all of you that are veterans, that will become veterans, and veterans that have passed. Thank you. I myself am a veteran. I served in the United States Navy. I didn't do anything wild and crazy. You won't see me in any video games type of deal. But I was proud to serve, and I'm still proud that I did serve. Now, current climate of our country, the way it's been for a while now, anti-military again, goes through phases. But that's not the point of this. If you know anybody that's a veteran, or if you see a veteran out and about, whether they're holding, they got a hat on that says World War II veteran or Vietnam veteran, or it's just kind of obvious they're a veteran, you don't have to do anything outlandish. You don't have to buy their drinks, buy their food for them, pay for their groceries, hold the door open. You don't have to do anything. It's appreciated. Just a simple look at them, a smile and a nod means a lot. In fact, one of the nicest things you can do, don't make a big scene about it. Just go up and say, hey, thank you very much. Put your hand out and have them shake it, or her. But only do it if you're genuine. It really does mean a lot when someone says that. And don't feel embarrassed if the person that you're saying thank you to seems really coy or really withdrawn or really embarrassed while you do that. Because the majority of veterans, including myself that I've met, they're appreciative of it, but they just don't wear it on their sleeves. And what that means, if you don't know, is they're just not, oh wow, thank you so much, that means so much to me. No, it does mean a lot. And when we do say thank you, it's about this tone of voice that I'm giving you right now. Thank you, or thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day. We're not trying to be rude. We're just very humble about it, the majority of us veterans. It means a lot to us, especially on this day, Veterans Day. Any day of the year, but especially this one. And the story I have today is, well, we'll just get into the story. Here we go. There's a gentleman in the town that I live in here in Arkansas. In my previous job as a cable installer and service technician, I got to meet a very large portion of my town. It's a small town, but I got to meet a lot of them. And one of the things I realized, every town has veterans, as far as I know. But one thing I realized in the town that I live in is how rich the military history is here, and how rich the history is in this small town I live in. It's amazing. We'll talk about more of the history of the town in other episodes. But one of the neat things about this town is there used to be World War I. They've all passed away in this town. But in this town, all the way back to even before the Civil War, strong military roots. And it's not blatantly obvious. And I met very interesting people, and that's what I hope to do. I'm going to try and start a series where I talk about these. Who knows, maybe it'll turn into a little mini podcast type thing. But one of the gentlemen I've spoken about before, in video form, lives here in town, and I met him when the first year I moved into this town. I was a temp employee working as a cable guy here, and I got to meet him. And I'll explain in future episodes the backstory of this guy, my first meeting with him. But this last time I met him, actually it was shortly before I transitioned to a different job in the same company. He's a great guy. World War II is when he served. So I go to his house. He needed some work done. And before I even got to where I could knock on the door, just pulled up, he came out and greeted me. And like most veterans, they want to see who's coming up in their yard. And he kind of recognized me. He's got really bad vertigo, and it's hard for him to move around. Doesn't see so well anymore, like most people in their 80s. So I introduced myself again. We go inside, he shows me what I need to do, and we start talking. And I say, you may not remember me from a couple of years ago, but we talked for quite a while at length about your service, and a little tiny bit of length about my service. And he said, I remember you. And he just looked really sad. And that's the point of this, my very first on this series, this podcast possibly, is for Veterans Day, for this man. Because this man reflects a lot of the issues and a lot of the pains that veterans deal with. All right, so let's begin. This man served in World War II. He was a driver. And a driver back then meant you drove tanks, you drove jeeps, you drove deuce and a halfs, you drove whatever needed to be driven. That was his job. He was a driver. Well, it just so happens that this gentleman, in his own words, had the honor of being Patton's driver in the Battle of the Bulge area. And wow. And of course I asked him, so I gotta ask you, I've seen the movies, I read one of the books. Was Patton actually a good guy, or was he a little crazy? He said Patton was very crazy, but he was a very good guy. He loved his men. Well, that sounds kind of weird saying it like that. He had love for his men. He cared about them, but he expected excellence in all aspects. He said it was an honor to serve with him. He was a great man. I said, nice. You know, it means a lot more when you can hear something like that coming from a person who's actually met the person you're questioning about. So anyways, he was one of Patton's drivers. He was a Jeep driver at that time. And that was really cool. Well, this time he'd shared a couple stories with me before, the first time I met him. And he, as I said, he looked kind of sad, kind of down. This was earlier this spring, 2016. And he said, well, I'm really sad. I'm very, very, very sad. And I asked him, well, I'm more than willing to listen. Is there anything I can do to help you? He said, not really. He said, all my military friends, everyone I served with, every single one of them, I'm the last one. Everyone else has passed away over the years. And this year, the last member of his group passed away. That's sad. All of his friends outside of military have passed away. He doesn't have any new friends. All his friends have passed away. And on top of all that, his wife has passed away. And you can see all of this was just weighing so heavily on him. And I asked him, well, sir, your son lives here, correct? And he said, yes. And I said, doesn't he spends time with you? He said, yes, but it's not the same thing. He said, my son, he comes over every day. He's very involved in my life. He cares about me, and I know that, but it's just not the same. And not being in his position, I can kind of guess at what he was talking about, but I asked him, what are you talking about? Would you mind explaining that? He said, well, son, when you lose all your friends, and you lose all your buddies that you went through hell with, and then you lose the woman of your life, the one you love. He said, I've never felt so alone in my life. He said, even when I was being shot at and bombed by airplanes strafing me, I never felt so alone in my life as I do right now. He said, my health is getting bad. My vertigo is getting worse. There are days I can't even leave the house because it's so bad. He said, I feel so lonely. I don't have anybody around anymore that understands where I came from that I can talk with. And he said, I like it when we talk, but it's still, even that is not the same. I don't have those friends anymore. He said, I'm just waiting to die, and hopefully that comes soon. And that's the point of this. This man, like many other men and women in our history, in the history of the world, have served to protect, have served to retain the values of a country, whichever they may be. And if you're lucky enough to get up in age, and unlucky at the same time, you get to see everyone you love and care about around you die. All he has left are his children and grandchildren, which is great, but it's not the same. It's just not the same, as he said. And that's a heavy burden to have on your shoulders, to be alone with your thoughts, your memories. So on this Veterans Day, think of it. Look them dead in the eyes. Say thank you. Extend your hand. Give a firm handshake. It really does mean a lot. Thank you.